Welcome to NetInt's Voices in Video, where we explore critical streaming-related topics with the experts who create and implement new streaming-related technologies. Today is a special treat. We talk with Ignacio Opazo, who's co-founder and CTO of Zapping, a groundbreaking virtual TV operator that operates in Chile, Brazil, and soon Peru and Costa Rica. Zapping has succeeded by being a tech company. They've implemented their own advanced technologies like their own CDN. They've deployed HEVC. They've got their own apps and user interfaces on smart TVs and on the web. And now they're starting to integrate artificial intelligence into their product's feature set. Nacho is the co-founder and CTO. He's the driving force behind all this innovation. Today, he's going to tell us how we did it, and at such a young age as well. So a brief housekeeping note. If you're watching and have questions, please post them as a comment on whatever platform you're watching on, and then we'll answer live at the end if time permits. Nacho, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me. I really enjoy to talk about tech. So let's start.
Okay, let's talk. So tell us a bit about Zapping. You don't have to go back to the 7 years ago when you started. Tell us who you serve, the content that you do, live VOD, that type of stuff.
Well, Zapping is OTT, is a live streaming platform. We are the Netflix of the live streaming here in Chile, in Latin America. So that is the main focus, the live streaming, sport events and news, local channel and so on. So we developed our technology, all the stack behind the satellite feeds and so on. We developed all the stuff, our encoders, the apps in each platform. We developed as well our own CDN. We developed here in Chile. We own our own CDN. I think it's more bigger than Akamai and other Fastly, for example, here in Chile. And yeah, we are taking the same step that Netflix did before. That you make your platform, you make the UI, you make the encoding process, and then you must deliver it. So yeah, the CDN is a really important thing in our platform. Yeah, that is Zapping in mainly.
Let's look at the service itself. What countries are you in?
In Chile, our success is here in Chile. We recently opened in Brazil as well, and we are open in Peru. I hope that in August we are ready in Peru. So, but right now, mainly in Chile. The most of the users are in Chile, and we are start about 2 months ago in Brazil as well.
What type of channels? What are the standard channels that you cover or that you incorporate?
My focus is on the local channel televisions, like the local news and that kind of channel, and the sports. We saw that opportunity in the current platform. You can get VOD movie series, but you can get live streaming or live events. So our main focus is in the news and the sports events.
What premium channels do you cover? Give us some names, because you have some big broadcasting houses.
Here in Chile, we have HBO. We have the channels of Paramount. All these channels are the live feeds, the live streaming feeds, the linear channels. We have TNT Sport, that is the local, here in Chile, is the local network to broadcast the soccer matches. So in Brazil, we have Globo with sport TVs and so on. So yeah, we are focused on that. They have the premium channels of movies, the main branch, but as well the main branch for sport. That is our focus.
And who's your competition?
Here in Latin America, there aren't so much. Here is mainly DirecTV with his platform named Direct Go or DGO. I think this is called right now DGO, I think. And the other platform are for the biggest ISP, like here in Chile exists Entel, Movistar, in Brazil Vivo, Claro, but that platform are closest to his clients. So DirecTV can be our competition. That's it.
Tell us about your customers. They're watching primarily on which platforms?
One of the most interesting thing about that is our clients use Zapping mainly in smart TVs. We have 80% of our traffic comes from smart TVs. So it's really different that I am seeing in the industry. Everybody are talking about mobile devices, PCs, laptop, etc. But in our platform, 80% of our users are in smart TV. It's really big.
What's the bandwidth you assume that they have?
Here in Chile, we have a really good internet. We have a connection of 1 gigabyte to the users, 1 gigabyte per second, fiber optic. So we have a 5G as well. So, but as we saw that the poor connection is for 50 megabytes per second. So it's really good here in Chile.
Is that true all through Latin America, or is that just in Chile?
We saw that here. In Brazil is really good as well, but we are seeing that it's not the base of the Latin America. But yeah, Brazil is really good, and Chile as well is really good, the connection of internet.
Does that make it harder or easier to deliver? You talked about your own CDN. Why don't you tell me about what did you need to do to deliver high quality streaming to all your customers?
The problem is not the internet. The problem is the we have the 80% of our users in smart TVs, and the user doesn't change the TV very often. So they have old TVs like 10 years TVs or 7-year TVs that these devices doesn't have really good Wi-Fi connections. So that is the problem. The problem is the Wi-Fi for live streaming, I think, and for low latency as well. So the user need to have a really good or a really stable connection of internet. So that is the problem here. The stability, not the speed, I think. So yeah, for our CDN, the problem is get to a server, a cache server, more nearest to the user, inside the ASP or inside a region or the ISP. All in the internet that happens that problem that the trunk of internet get with low capacity. That is the problem of internet and video. But yeah, the main problem is the Wi-Fi. It's not the connection of internet.
How do you deal with that? Did I notice that you sold Wi-Fi, or I guess you sell TV OTT sticks on your website? Do you sell Wi-Fi routers as well?
No. We are focusing in the platform and technology in the app, but not in hardware.
What can you do if your end users have poor Wi-Fi? What's your strategy there?
We are encoding in HAVC, and we are encoding our video in good quality, but using the less bitrate possible. And we have as well the possibility to the user decide to which quality want to see. So if a user knows that have a television far away the router, they can choose the lowest quality. And the lowest quality is really good. We are encoding HVC and 1.5 megabytes per second and in HD. And it's a really good image quality at that bitrate for HVC. So yeah, that is that we use for compensate the problem with the Wi-Fi.
Let's talk sports, because I know that's a big part of your appeal.
Yeah.
What are you doing to improve the experience of sports? You talked about getting a server in the studios of the hosts of it. You talked about the CDN. You talked about HEVC. Why don't you go through all the things you're doing to make sure people watching sports on your platform have a great experience?
Here in Chile, we are a soccer country. We are we saw a lot of soccer matches, but the problem is Brazil. Brazil is a different monster. This guy want to look football all the time, all the week. They can see this in the free-to-air channel. So with that in mind, we develop a lot of things, thinking about the latency and the quality of the image, because we think that is the problem in Brazil. There doesn't exist so much platform like us, only direct TV, and we saw that opportunity. Well, we focus in three things in the football matches and the soccer matches. First of all, the latency. Second, the quality of the image. And third, the third can be the content, right? You need to get the content for each country, and that is a really difficult issue. So for the latency, we talk with the distributor of the channel and put a server, NETINT server actually, inside the head end of each broadcaster, and we can skip the satellite uplink and get a pair of seconds or more, the difference in that. So we encode that channel inside the head end of the broadcaster, the network, and we do the packaging as well in there. So our CDN get the image directly from the head end of the broadcaster. So we get a few seconds, I think, in difference to our main competitors. And here in Chile, we are in the worst scenario, in the best scenario, we are 1 minute ahead of our competitors. Like the same platform, the OTT of Trinity Sport here in Chile, we are 1 minute ahead of this guy. So yeah, we are doing a lot. In Brazil, it's different. It's a different animal because we need to go on to the free-to-air antenna. So we are doing a lot in that case.
What low latency technologies are you using?
Well, right now we developed our own technology, because the problem of 80% of smart TVs in our CDN is the problem, because the smart TV are very old, with very old technology. So we own the encoding, and we own the CDN. So we made some tricks in there to get 8 seconds of latency ahead the origin. But all that technology is a CDN optimization, right? It's not in the player. So it's compatible with all the platform, the WebOS 1.0, the Tizen 2014. So really old technology, but we can get a latency of 6 or 8 seconds. That is the big picture, the iceberg, the complete iceberg, right? But we are working in the tip of the iceberg with LLHLS as well. So to get nearest to the 1 second point for the most newest devices like iOS, Android, and Android TV, Apple TV.
Are you moving towards low latency HLS? I thought you developed your own and now you're moving towards the standard, or what's that?
Yeah, that kind of leave each other. For all the platform, you can get 6 or 8 seconds of latency, and for the newest devices, you can use LLHLS and get more near to the origin. So both of the technology can live with that. Yeah.
How does that compare to over the air? Are you faster or slower, or how is that working?
In Brazil, we are 2 seconds behind the free to air. I don't know why. I don't know why. 2 seconds, yeah, 2 seconds. I don't know why. But we are investing in that. I think that this guy are doing some process to get to the video, to the antenna. But if we put our encoder inside this channel, we can go on to the free to air antenna, I think, with our technology. But with HLS or HASP, we can. I think we can get six seconds ahead from free to air. Well, let's talk in about 3 months more, and let's look like what we want to there.
Is that important? Are you hearing a lot of criticism from your customers about being behind, or is that just not as big an issue that people make it?
Yeah, it's a big issue for the soccer match, because here in Chile you can hear your neighbor screaming if your neighbor has another cable operator. In Brazil, it's more complicated because the soccer matches are in the free to air. Here in Chile, the soccer matches are premium, so you need to hire a cable operator. In Brazil, no, you can saw not all the matches, but some of them, and the free to air antenna. So it's a big issue in Brazil because this guy lived the soccer, so every are watching the matches, and a neighbor can scream a goal. So it's a really important thing for us and for the country, I think. Here in Chile, we have that question a lot in social media. Hey guys, if you hire Zapping, what happened if a goal occur? Okay, you must activate the mode turbo. We said turbo mode to our technology. But because you can turn on and turn off. If you have a bad speed of a bad connection, like a bad Wi-Fi, you can turn off the low latency technology from us. You can saw the match in a 30-second buffer, like the normal buffer of HLS.
Tell us about HEVC. When did you start thinking about implementing HEVC, and how has that rollout been? And what are the savings you've found?
Yeah, HEVC is really important for us because, the CDN, the traffic and for video is really big. At the beginning, 4 years ago, we saw a lot of trunk with problem, like really small trunk of internet between ISP, like 10 gigabyte per second trunks. We saturate that trunks with our service. So for us, it's really important that the quality of the images, the quality of the image need to be good, but we need to optimize the bitrate, because when you have a soccer match, thousands of people comes to your servers and saturate the internet of the region. So for us, it's really important HVC. We get 40% of less bit rate in comparison to H.264, and the same quality on image. And then we have a full HD quality at 6 or 6.5 megabytes per second, the HVC. We can get a really good image in comparison to our competition, because they are using H.264 at 5 megabytes per second in full HD, and we are using HEVC and 6 megabytes per second. So we're getting a really nice or better image than our competitors. So yeah, for us, it's really important. And the user knows that we have that in our UX. The user can turn on the HVC and turn off the HVC and look the difference. So it's really, really important.
You expose that to the viewers and they actually get to choose and they understand the difference in the technologies?
Yeah, if we know that your television, your TV or your device is compatible with HEVC, it's turned on by default. But if there is so many setup boxes really bad, like Chinese setup boxes, and well, in that case, we turn off the HEVC by default, and the user can try if in that his device can work. And yeah, the user can play with that and see the difference. It's really interesting.
When you talk about 5 or 6 megabits per second, that's for 1080p 60 or 1080p 30?
1080p60.
How does your ladder change for HEVC and H.264? You know, you've got a 40% lower top rung. Are you doing less rungs in your HEVC ladder?
I have three rungs in H.264. For sport, well, depends on the channels, the image of the channels, because we need more bit rate for sport, for the motion, and the 60 frames per second. So for H.264, we have three qualities that began in 1800 kilobytes per second, and then 1.5 megabytes per second, and then 3 megabytes per second. And if there is a channel for sport in H.264, we encode that in 6 megabytes per second in full HD. For HEVC, we encode that in HD in 1.5, and then in full HD 3 megabytes per second, only 3, but for 30 frames per second. So if we have a soccer match or a sport channel, we encode that in 6 megabytes per second and in 60 frames per second. So that is the ladder of each other.
Do you change your ladders for the different channels? I mean, do you do something different for sports and something different for talk shows? Or how does that work?
For example, CNN or us right now, you can spend in a bit rate in this background. So yeah, for CNN or talk show, we use a little less. Actually, we are trying a 600 kilobytes per second HEVC, and works really good. 600 is really low bit rate and works really good. And it's no problem with this kind of content. Yeah, actually, in a big screen, so you can see really good. So yeah, we change that, depends on the content. The problem are the national TVs, because they have news, they have talk show, they have dancing shows, and with a lot of lights. That is a problem, because we can't stop the encoding process because it's live streaming. So, but yeah, we can handle that in our encoder. I can say more about that, but yeah, we can handle that in our encoder.
Well, tell us about the evolution of your encoding. You've been operating for, I guess you started 7 years ago. Had to walk us through where you started on the encoding side, you know, how you started, where you moved to, and where you are now.
I started encoding this live streaming in CPUs using QuickSync from Intel. Well, but you have a problem there, because my problem was getting more density for rack unit, right? So with Intel, with QuickSync, I can have 5 channels for rack unit. It was really poor for me and at that time. And the quality is good, it's really good, but the amount of power that you need, the amount of heat that you produce in that kind of CPU is really high. And they come across the GPUs, NVIDIA GPUs, and we are trying about with the P2000, that kind of GPUs, and we can get 15 channels per GPUs. So we are trying do a Bourbon, a case, a server case with one GPU, two GPUs, three GPUs, and then we did something like we encoding HBCM GPUs and H264 CPUs for get more dense the amount of channel in each rack. Yeah, but we have a limit. The amount of GPUs that you have, the amount of network, the network that you have, and the quality as well, and the latency as well. So we changed that we moved the GPUs to the T4, the NVIDIA T4. I get some amount, about 18 channels per GPUs. Yeah, in one rack unit between 80 cores, Intel CPUs, more the 2 GPUs, we can get about 50 channels per rack unit with all the ladders complete. So yeah, we need to, in that time, I am looking for get more dense my servers, and I come across NETINT. I found a paper of you guys that said 122 channel per rack unit. Okay, let's start with this guy and get one of the device and let's try it. And yeah, it was really surprised that the amount of power that you use is really low, and the quality is really good, and the warm up of the process is really fast in comparison to GPUs and CPUs. So yeah, right now I have a lot of server of you guys. I'm trying about three months right now. Yeah, for us in our version 1 of our encoder, like if you have 2 cores of Intel CPU with 80 cores each other, more 2 GPUs, we can get 50 channels with about 200 watts, something like that. And in a NETINT encoder, we can have 50 watts per second with 10 NETINT encoders, and some more from the CPU, but I don't think that we can pass 150 watts. It's really impressive, and the quality is really good from the basis. Without touching any command, additional command, we can get a really good image, and the latency is really good. So yeah, we are really happy on that. That is our journey in our encoding stack. But right now we're thinking to try the Quadra processor. I need to get more dense. Brazil is a really big country. We need more power, more dense for space in the rack. So yeah, we are looking to try that equipment, the devices for get more dense our servers. I don't know what happens in the future with that.
Is throughput any different for HEVC versus H.264, or are they relatively consistent?
I don't have that information right now, but for my eye is better in HEVC.
How are you interfacing with the boards? Because are you using FFmpeg or GStreamer, or do you have you access
FFmpeg?
How was the process of porting to the new technology from the old technology? What was it like to integrate the NETINT products as compared to the NVIDIA products that you stopped using?
It was really seamless for us. Some different kind of commands. That's it. No problem with that. Really easy.
That's good to hear. Have you looked at, one of the questions that came in was whether you're doing HDR at this point. What are you looking at with HDR?
Yeah, right now we are not seeing that. It's not in our sprint of development, because we already have a really good quality in comparison with our competitors. So for now, we are doing nothing about HDR.
Okay, is that on the roadmap, or is that
not a priority. We are seeing 4K more than HDR right now, and I'm moving to HV1 kind of codec, but it's not a priority right now.
Which channels or which type of content are prioritized for 4K? When do you see that transition occurring?
Right now, we don't have any 4K channel from the origin. So for us, it's mainly for sport events. But we are seeing that opportunity of all this new technology of scaling with AI and make pixel where doesn't exist. We are trying some stuff there. Yeah, we can here in Latin America never happened that way. I think in US that some guy tried to scaling the content for full HD to 4K. But we are looking for that and doing in live streaming is really complicated. So that's for us a priority. But right now it's not in our current sprint. So
one of the things that we talked about earlier was that one of the keys to your success was that you consider yourself a technology company. Why don't you go into that a little bit and talk about, you know, where that appears in your product offering?
We saw that the opportunity that in the local channels, in the new channels and the sport events, there is no new technology in the layer of the user. All the technology that you see that you saw is in the image, right? And the last, let's say 20 years or more, we didn't see any kind of technology new. So we saw that we are making technology in that layer, in the layer of the user, in the layer of the application. So we saw that difference, and we make a really good UX for our user. We don't have the approach of Netflix. Here in Latin America, all our competitors are Netflix-like, a web page with a lot of thumbnails, and the user need to choose. I don't know if you spend time in Netflix searching for a content and you never found anything. And all these platforms has the same approach. Zapping is like TikTok. You open the app and you are seeing content, and if there is, I don't know, a movie that you saw, like Forrest Gump, you can watch it and that's it. But in Netflix, you never will go to okay, right now I want to watch Forrest Gump, and that process is really poor. It's the same experience of getting to the blockbuster and searching for each row the movie. Okay, there's no innovation in that user experience. So yeah, Netflix are getting better in that experience, but all the competitors are copying to Netflix that experience. But for us, we did a lot of technology in the layer of the user. We have a Twitter feed, an AI to detect the hashtag in the screen, and there we went to the Twitter and get the information in the Twitter and put all these tweets in the screen. We develop AI to detect the goal. So when a goal appears in the screen, we detect that and offers to the user to get back to the goal if you don't see it, and so on. And there is a lot more technology inside of Zapping, and the user not notice the difference, that how it's working, and it's not a web page. It's like a TV experience with a lot of technology above of that. So yeah, we saw the opportunity there, and we are doing a lot. Some things I can say right now, but in 1 year more, I think you can do a flip and offer a new experience of I think.
You talked about AI a couple of times. Where do you see AI contributing to your service offering?
Right now, in the last months, I don't know, half a year, we are seeing a lot of technology that you can generate image and then video with this kind of technology. So we are seeing a big opportunity there. Well, we distribute content for the main branches like Disney, Turner, Paramount, HBO. But we saw that opportunity to generate content. That kind of technology is really interesting. I don't know. For example, you can offer to your user a new history. You can generate the history with AI. The user can propose to you a topic, and AI can generate a history. And with that history, you can generate image. With that image, you can generate video. So the movies in the future can be a new thing for every hours. I don't know. It's really crazy. So the content generators can be the users. That opportunity we saw in this kind of technology that we are seeing in the last year is really crazy. That we are living a revolution in there.
Have you started considering AV1? Is that on your roadmap, or is that not?
We are considering AV1, but we are. It's in our short time period, but we are trying with other stuff right now. We have the time span to our computers to get to that point that we have in quality of image and the CDN as well. So yeah, soon, but it's in our plan to move on HV1.
Another question is, are you buying individual NETINT cards, or are you buying the new servers that NETINT is offering?
Both of them.
Tell us about the servers. They're relatively new.
The servers are really good. I have 6 in my office right now. Yeah, for us it's better to buy it in that way because it's ready to use it. So we are deploying our platform in Latin America and get for you guys a big bulk of server and sending for each country. So it's putting in the rack and use it for us. We put our software there and we use it. It's really simple for us. We don't need to any installation of operating system. So for us, it's the way to do that. It's really easy for us.
What software are you putting on top of? You talked about packaging in the broadcast center. So what are you using for packaging, if you don't mind sharing that?
Chaka Packager.
Is that, are you going to continue using that, or has that worked well for you?
We are moving to our own Packager.
Yeah, Shaka, why is that? Is Shaka not being updated, or what are the problems with it?
No, it's only the control. We are doing a lot of term of low latency in the communication of between the encoder and the CDN can be directly. So in that process, we can do encoding frame by frame to send it to analyze AI analyze, and then we can package directly in our server, in our software, and send it directly to the CDN. So that kind of stuff we want to control. So we are moving to our own solution.
One question is, one of the challenges in our service is supporting the various TVs that our customers have. What do you see in Latin America relating to that?
It's a big issue because well, the the people doesn't change their smart TV very often. So we are looking to devices like Roku here in Latin America to offer to the people to get these kind of devices to upgrade his TVs with this device. But Roku has the problem of his code. So they use Bright script. It's not a very well language to develop. We prefer Android TV in Kotlin and Swift in iOS. Yeah, but we are looking to a solution to upgrade the user devices in Latin America. But it's a really big issue. Right now, I don't have the answer. And how can I update that interface? But yeah, I think in 1 year more we can have that solution.
So you'll offer Roku to everybody, or you?
In customer survey, we say to the people, hey, let's get a Roku for you.
Okay,
yeah, that's it.
Well, I think Roku supports AV1, so that should be pretty seamless.
Yeah, pretty seamless. Yeah.
Another question is, I think you talked about your smart TV interface. What does your mobile interface look like? What are you doing innovative there?
We start like, I don't know, we start like TikTok. I don't say that TikTok copy to me or I copy to TikTok. Like, let's start. You start the channel and you can see like really seamless. That innovation right now is nothing, but the user can play around the application in a really simple way to use. So that's it. And the user don't need to understand the application. It's really use it. So Zapping means channel surfing. I don't know if you guys know that. Zapping here in Latin America means channel surfing.
Right.
So that is the why, the name. 7 years ago, that was an innovation when we showed this to our investors or our users. The people was crazy. Okay, how it is working? Right now, it's really common, but that's the interface in the application. You start, you are seeing content, and that's it.
What was your background, and where did you come from?
I am a musician. I play piano, I play saxophone, but I develop software when I was 11 years old. So I have 36 years old right now. So for all my life, I was developing software. So yeah, for me it's like it. It's like it. It's really simple. But I am a musician. That is my real profession.
Did you work in, I guess, television or broadcast or streaming before you started Zapping, or you just jumped in?
Yeah, I just been. Yeah, I am learning all this technology because this cross in front of me, and okay, let's go.
Listen, this has been great. We're out of time. We're out of questions. So I appreciate you joining us. Thanks for sharing all those details. Thanks for saying such great things about our product. And we'll talk to you in 3 to 6 months to see if you actually implement all the things that you talked about.
Yeah, for sure. I hope so.
Thanks for joining us, Ignacio.